I'm wearing comfies. I've got an emotional support water bottle beside me, filled with ice because I love ice water. And I feel ready to share some really big news and some really big things that have been happening in my world lately. But I can also feel my heart pounding as I'm filming this because this is extremely personal and it's a very vulnerable moment for me as well. But like most big things in my life, YouTube has actually been the place where I have shared those because it allows me to talk really openly, really honestly, and without those little short bursts of time that you get on Instagram or TikTok, for example. Here I can just kind of share it all and give more of a backstory. So that's what I'm gonna do, just open up, do a bit of a story time and fill you in on what's been going on. If you're new here, hi, my name's Elle and this is quite a different video for me and what I normally share. But if you are part of the channel, then thank you so much for clicking on today's video and for watching it and just for being there with me through, my gosh, all of the things that life throws at you, right? A week ago, I was given the diagnosis that made so much sense for me. And getting that diagnosis honestly put lots of different pieces of a puzzle together for me that I could see the full picture and really make sense of the world around me. The diagnosis I was given is that I have ADHD inattentive type. To be entirely transparent, this is something that I am still learning about, discovering, educating myself on. So I can't tell you too many details at the moment other than the experience that I had that brought me to this diagnosis. ADHD inattentive type is stereotypically not what you think of when you think of ADHD. A lot of people, when they hear that term ADHD, think of that really hyperactive kid that can't sit still in class, that's up, moving about, jumping everywhere, and just like go, 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 go. The inattentive type of ADHD that I have, a lot of it is internalized. So that go, 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 that busyness is something that I have always experienced within myself that a lot of people don't see. I'm always thinking about things, always working on problems and ideas and that kind of thing in my head. And there's normally a lot of different things going on at one time. The other way in which my ADHD has always presented is not being able to just do nothing and relax. And I thought that was just part of my personality. My parents were entrepreneurs, had their own business when I was growing up. So I was used to seeing my parents be really busy working on their business. And I thought that that whole drive within me to be working on something was just a personality trait of mine, not necessarily something hardwired into my brain. That's kind of the backstory about what that diagnosis means, the ADHD inattentive type, but I want to go into what led me to getting diagnosed. My whole life, as I said, I have been busy working on things, always had a project on the go, always had big dreams, big goals, big ideas, and a real drive to try to work towards those. As a child at school, I was described by my teachers as somebody who had a lot of potential but was never meeting my potential. So I was seen as a bright, smart kid, and I never understood, my parents never understood, my teachers never understood why a bright, smart kid was just never meeting their potential. But then on the flip side, if there was something that I was really interested in, something that really sparked my attention, I went all in. The question was always, why couldn't I apply that just to everything, like blanket, just all sorts of things. So for years and years, this has just been who I am, how I am, and I haven't thought anything more of it. Things really took a turn for me when my twins were born. Revi and Rue were born, and I remember being absolutely caught up in that hormonal just whoosh that happens where everything is just so intense, and I was feeling everything in such an elevated way. And as a new mom, I was for the first time really experiencing just the level of chaos, I want to say, across life, because your brain has to go in so many different directions, and that was multiplied by 2 because we had the twins. So you have to think about, anticipating their needs. Have we got wipes? Have we got bottles? Are the bottles clean? Have we sterilized the bottles? My brain was just going in so many different directions, as so many mums' brains are. And I figured that at some point, my brain would be able to just get used to it. But I really became aware that I was doing this thing where I would start something and then my brain would be whirling away thinking about other things that needed to happen, and I'd be like, right, that's a different priority, I need to actually move away and do this now. So I was finding myself starting and not finishing so many different things that I would just all of a sudden look around my environment and realize that I was just surrounded by chaos, but additional chaos that I had created because I hadn't worked systematically through a task. And I didn't understand why. I just thought that I was scatterbrained, overwhelmed, and that's just a new mum thing. I remember at the time mentioning it to my doctor when I was a couple of months into motherhood. The response from my doctor was that I needed to just get it together. I left that doctor's appointment feeling an immense amount of shame and guilt and disappointment in myself, that I felt overwhelmed and that I felt like my brain couldn't cope. So I tried to find ways to basically battle through that. I used food a lot when the twins were little. I used it as a source of energy. I used it as a source of comfort. And when I'm talking about food, I'm not talking about like wholesome, nourishing, good for you ingredients. I'm talking about junk food, snack food, high fat, high sugar foods. Those foods have always had such a profound impact on me. It's always been something that I have felt embarrassed about. This is also something that I have raised with my doctor previously on many occasions. I have gone and seen therapists about this before and spoken to them about it, spoken to them about the triggers that set off kind of, binge eating, why I seek out those kinds of foods, that kind of thing. And at that time, with the twins being young and me using food as a way to kind of survive and get through, I found myself gaining weight, which is something that I have always done when that happens, because the quantity in which I eat that food isn't healthy. It's way too many calories for my body. It's food that I do not need in excess, and it makes me feel sick. It's just the worst cycle. But the other things that I was experiencing when the twins were born, around my brain feeling frazzled, was becoming more and more amplified. Other issues that I started to experience more and more were sleeplessness and a bit of insomnia, and then that lack of sleep would then make me more forgetful, more anxious, more overwhelmed, more unable to kind of keep up with things. The breaking point with my doctor, when I knew that we needed to find someone else, was when I requested a copy of my health file from her, my health records. The whole staff there told me off for requesting that and making more work for them. I was convinced that there is something going on, but I didn't know what, and I felt like I had raised these concerns before. So lo and behold, I get my file, I read back, and I see that at different points in my life, particularly around stress, I could see these same things brewing, me talking to my doctors about food and turning to food, and my brain not thinking things through and feeling kind of all out of place. It was the reaction from the doctor that I was like, we need a different doctor. This is no good. The problem is that the medical profession as a whole is under so much pressure coming out of the pandemic. So here it's really hard to get a GP appointment with your own GP. I was really fortunate that one of the places I called, that one of the doctors there did have a spot available that came available for me, Revy and Rue. One of the policies at this new medical practice is that as a new patient, you need to go and meet your doctor and have a first appointment. I met with this new doctor and they were asking me questions about my history, that kind of thing. And one of the things that I always am nervous to talk to doctors about is my choice to follow a low carb keto lifestyle, because that gets such a bad rap so often. And instead of being judgmental, instead of criticizing me, instead of telling me that I lacked willpower and I lacked discipline and that I just needed to work harder, she really gently raised the possibility that I might have ADHD and asked if I had ever considered that. But I had looked into the process of what it meant to get a diagnosis. You need a GP referral. The assessments are really expensive because it's really time consuming. They have to write up a report, they have to interview you, and they also have to interview a family member who can attest to what you were like as a child. So she felt that it was worthwhile to make the referral. I went along with her. I had to go and do a full blood test, drug screening, all kinds of things as part of my referral. Had to complete my own assessment as well that was sent to me. And I was so surprised that a couple of weeks later, after completing those things, I got a letter telling me that I had an appointment booked for my assessment to be done. I was so nervous for that meeting with the psychiatrist, but they said that it was pretty clear that I had ADHD inattentive type, and it made complete sense why I had been struggling so much and finding things so difficult. Hearing that diagnosis was a mixture of relief and also disappointment. Relief because so many things made so much sense, and I genuinely think, not as like a woe is me, kind of like feel bad for me, because I don't want you to feel bad for me, but so many things that I have wanted to do better with, try harder, and I have, it's like outside my control. Like, it's hard to explain because it's not something visibly that you can see, but it's like an ever-present reality for me. I could only feel it getting worse and worse, and I feel emotional talking about it because I have been so critical of myself. Not critical in like a body image way, which I think a lot of people think about. Really critical internally within myself. Why did I forget that? Why did I mess that up? Why did I not finish that? Why is this like a mess? Why did I start this? Like, just that experience where you walk into a room and you can't remember why you were there. And the nature of what I do with my work being online, you get a lot of opinions from other people who really don't know you and really don't know like what's going on fully. They just are seeing a snapshot. So at times some of those things have not been very helpful. What I've shared on my YouTube channel, my Instagram, all of that has really been just my life, what's going on in my life, and I share openly and honestly because the experiences I have, other people have, and as alone and as isolated and whatever other emotion that experience might make me feel, I know that other people are experiencing that same emotion, and I don't want them to feel alone or beat themselves up like I am, you know? The same thing around my miscarriages. I felt so embarrassed and shameful and guilty that I went through those, which there's absolutely no reason to feel that way. But that's how I felt in that moment. I shared it, and to this day I still get messages from people who are currently walking through that really difficult time who say to me what a comfort it is to know that they're not alone. So right now I'm sharing where I'm at, kind of like in the trenches, I guess, you know, climbing my way out of this. I've been prescribed medication. I'm about to start my medication, and I want to document kind of the next phase of this journey. What's going to be happening next, how everything goes, how I am, I guess, kind of like claiming my life back. 2024 is going to be quite a big year for me in a lot of ways, but I won't go into that now because I have completely chatted your ear off. But if you are interested in the medication that I've been prescribed, what that entails, the other things that I am doing that aren't medication, one thing I would ask is that you don't diagnose me or prescribe me things based off of what you think I should be doing, because that is a job for my doctor, my psychiatrist, and that's where I want to keep that. So thank you for respecting that wish from me as well. If that interests you, as well as the next phase in this particular series, then make sure you hit subscribe for the next video. And if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up because the support means the world to me. I'll see you in the next video very soon. Bye!